So really the problem that I faced in this second dungeon was really Maryland and Montgomery County governments. They do all sorts of wrongs. So especially in programs with federal funding, because they basically, everything is just to steal, and so for one example, the Medicaid program is just like the VA. They let the patients die and they steal all the money. So I found that in these agencies, how they do it is all the positions of power and authority are held by white women. And this includes upper management and even like program integrity personnel, the people, the watchdogs, like Inspector General, compliance. And I checked in some other states and they seem to have better diversity, and Maryland has no diversity. And so I saw one thing where, like accounting, it's a male profession, but when one is a government auditor, it's not about just technical skill. You also have to report on legal compliance and program integrity. So I found documents that show that, in the older reports, there were these male auditors who do the whole thing, including issuing orders to bring programs into compliance. But then after 2007, it's women who are actually not even accountants who produce the reports. And now those same male auditors are still around, but just for their technical skill. And they don't sign and they don't issue orders. Their names are listed and it is said that they contributed to the report. So, and I think it's kind of interesting where because they put most of, it's not really the second dungeon. Now, initially, it was a few women and a whole bunch of men. But so with the second dungeon, with all these government agencies doing wrong, it comes down to kind of a whole bunch of women. And so really, and I think what's going on is these, they put these white women who find it easier to identify who will join them in the wrongdoing and who can be molded when it's the group they understand. Now there is more diversity in the lower ranks, but they have stocked with women who act just like battered wives, and they even choose ones who are very dependent, such as those with financial woes. I have audio recordings, and I've seen the fear and obedience with these women, near their supervisors. And so whenever I have spoken with the management women, their nastiness and manipulative talk prevails. Things I've hardly seen, heard in their subordinates. So what they did is, in 2013, these agencies were scheming to stick me into a Medicaid light program. See, before Obamacare came about, there was like a lighter version of Medicaid, which is the free government health plan. So really, they mailed to me forms, and in Maryland, it's unlawful for these agencies to mail unsolicited forms. They wanted me in their program so they can fully have me in their effective dungeon. At the same time, my problems didn't, as I said, they came as just as a trickle. So I had applied for state jobs and I was very close to getting some, but they pulled back my state jobs, even pulling back interviews which were scheduled, and using lies like saying the job posting itself was an error in the first place. Now had I been employed at the time, if it so happened that I could not, now I would have really good insurance, not the Medicaid or Obamacare type insurance. I would have the good insurance from the state job, and if I could not work anymore, I could also get short-term disability. There again, that's like a short-term private disability insurance. So and those things would have helped me. And I guess these people didn't want me to get those things. They were trying to stick me into into the government healthcare. So really, in 2014, and then of course by the end of 2013 or halfway through, I had to give up because my medical condition got so bad. There was no point trying to look for a job at that point. And then, but I was still getting kind of private medical care, and I was finding out a lot of things about my condition. And in 2014, Obamacare came around. It was the full implementation of Obamacare, and at that time, it made me eligible for Medicaid, which is a completely free government medical care. And these people signed me up for medical care without my consent, without me ever doing it. And in DC and Maryland, the government, they punish doctors who give private care to a Medicaid enrollee. And additionally, ultimately, I ran out of money, so I didn't fight the enrollment. And now they really got me into the dungeon. Right, and so, I knew that the water was boiling, and I had to, and things were going to get worse. So I had options like going to a different state, and certainly taking a trip to India would have done the trick. But then I filed a case in federal court, and because Judge Chuang took up my cause, I stuck around, right? See, because Judge Chuang actually made a Super Bowl of lawsuits for me, and he found all kinds of things, and I should have made big money, and it was even cited like in a law review article for those reasons. But also he found all kinds of horrible things going on which had to be stopped immediately. And so I said, okay, let's stick around, and Judge Chuang is going to solve my problems with the federal court. See, because Judge Chuang found that there was a whole lot of game playing by these government agencies and their doctors, and they were refusing to release heart test results, never ordering even the basic blood test that cost less than $50. And he summed everything up effectively as deliberately giving poor care and causing more bodily injuries. And then so what happened is I had lawfully made audio recordings and posted them on YouTube of the Medicaid program and its doctors giving the runaround. In an effort to shut all this down, Chief Tom Manger produced search and arrest warrant applications with falsehoods. First thing in the morning, these applications were taken to a state court judge. Manger did not want to waste a single second. Simultaneously, he placed 2 police officers in front of my house. These officers were not from the district station. They had driven 20 miles from police headquarters in rush hour. They sat idling for a full hour, awaiting the ruling, wasting even more public resources, even with all the falsehoods that state judge found in my favor. Now, faced with me taking all these violations to Judge Chuang, these perps, they conspired with Judge Chuang. By deduction, it's clear that they gave him all the details about deliverance on the Potomac. It's clear that they gave Chuang the medical opinion, which included a prognosis that my condition would immediately worsen dramatically, such that I would not be able to pursue any further action. Essentially, I would die soon. All Chuang has to do is stall a little. After all, this is this is something right up Benghazi Ted's alley. So he has great experience in stalling and not sending help with the expectation that people will die and his troubles and the troubles will be over soon. Now, if Benghazi means not sending help, letting people die, and having a free hand to write whatever story you desire, then with my case, Chuang did a Benghazi. It is, however, a background issue that was overlooked, which whereas misconduct went against his own supporters, a betrayal that is linked to my case. Chuang, while heading a House committee investigation into Iraq war contractors, was at the same time, through the HK law firm of Fairfax County, working on the legal defense team of the same persons he was investigating. One of the perps in my case is William Carey, the managing principal of BK Law, another large Fairfax County law firm. This firm handles Innova's work. Perhaps the firm found what Mr. Carey has done. He's been demoted to the bottom. And it looks like Mr. Carey, William Carey, he seized upon Judge Chuang's background and got Chuang to do the betrayal in my case. And so really, and at the same time, the second judge which I got, it was transferred over because Chuang couldn't handle the heat, was Judge Paula Zinnes, and she's another career criminal who was put on this court. And it looks like because she's connected to this high-powered Baltimore law firm. Zinnes, after joining the Falcon Murphy law practice, took on criminal defense cases. It appears that Zinnes sometimes colluded with prosecutors to help her clients. A notable example being that of dropping charges in the prosecution of Officer Schmidt of the Baltimore Police for felony animal cruelty. And this was witnessed by other officers who actually pursued the charges. Since a dog owner cannot sue for millions, she defends the cop. Oddly, the prosecution against Schmidt's partner, defended by another firm, went ahead. Such is stated in an ethics complaint. In a case from Silver Spring that appeared on CBS's 48 Hours, there was a murdered man in a studio apartment, essentially the bedroom of a male-female couple. The male overtly confessed, so they gained the right to arrest him. But the investigation was actually entirely focused on the female. They actually thought she did it. But then, after Zinnes became the female's lawyer, the prosecutor just got the police to pull everything back. So then there's also, with that same law firm, another attorney at that firm was cited by federal prosecutors for aiding a drug kingpin in monitoring the movements of law enforcement. Now Judge Zinnes's, Paula Zinnes's main business was civil suits against police, and I support going after misconduct, but not what Zinnes does, fabricating cases against police who did nothing wrong. It appears that Zinnes colluded with the federal judge to allow her to submit a fabricated case against the Lindenwold, New Jersey police, resulting in a $5 million shakedown. And today, Zinnes is a judge. There is an active case against Officer Pirelli of the U.S. Park Police. Every element of the case is 100% fabricated. Zinnes is pushing the case. And, this is something where a person wasn't even injured. Nothing happened. What they say is it's a false arrest. But still, every part of the case is just completely false. And of what Zinnes says about what the officer did. There was no false arrest. I mean, it was a legitimate mistake. And okay, so Zinnes is pushing, and this is a $1 million case, and there was no injuries, and it's a false arrest lasting for about 2 hours of detention from the police to the courthouse, and it was based on something which showed up on a police computer. It has nothing to do with what the officer did. So anyway, so Zinnes and this other law practice, they have fabricated every element of the case, so it looks like he did something really horrible. And so now she's pushing this case along so the lawyers can shake down and destroy good cops. The logical conclusion is that what remains are bad cops, and then there is plenty of material. No more need to fabricate a police misconduct case.